Watch this video before you join the Marine Corps. I was one of those guys that would watch the YouTube videos of the Marine Corps Bootcamp videos, and just like many of you, I was like, this looks awesome. So next thing you know, I found myself scrolling, on the website, ended up talking to a recruiter, and 2 weeks later, literally from watching videos, I was in Marine Corps Bootcamp. In this video, I'm going to tell you guys the things that they do not show on the YouTube videos, and kind of like either the underwhelming or overwhelming parts of bootcamp that you need to watch out for. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. The last tip is actually insane. Make sure you watch to the end, and let's get into it. So the first thing that I just want to get out the way about Marine Corps Bootcamp is the beginning is very, very slow. I don't know if it's the mental part that you're like thinking, dang, what did I do? I just made a big mistake. You're going to get those thoughts. Like when I first went, I was like, bro, I made the biggest mistake ever. I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I here? The beginning is very slow. You're pretty much repeating MEPS again, but now you have no sleep. Now you're not at home. Now you stink and you can't fall asleep. It is like the worst repeat of MEPS, and that lasts for about 2 days. And then for that whole week, you're just receiving items, your rifle, your barracks, all of that. You're just doing receiving the whole week, and you're not even with your real DIs. For a full week, you're like, think about that. You have to go to sleep every day. You have to go through these 24 hours every single day. That's why the beginning is extremely slow. And honestly, for the first whole half of bootcamp, you're not doing the things that the YouTube videos are showing, like the cool low crawl, the shooting, the swimming stuff. The whole first half of bootcamp, you're not doing any of that. Now, I'm not going to dive fully into it because I don't want to spoil some of the things, and I don't even know what I can and cannot talk about, but I do want to say that the beginning is extremely slow, and it's going to cause you to be in your head a lot. Speaking of that, be prepared to regret it. You're going to sit there, you're going to be like, dude, why did I just do this? You're going to regret your decision just like anybody else. There were people in my platoon that were figuring out ways to get out of there, that did manage to escape, like just finding ways to get out, because you're going to be regretting every single thing in your bones. The hurry up and wait is a real thing. Now, there's this term that says hurry up and wait, and it's pretty much learning how to, like mastering how to wait, how to stand there for hours. That is honestly the main point of bootcamp. The whole bootcamp, you're pretty much just waiting for your turn to do a test, waiting for your turn to do an exercise, and you're with like 75 other guys, and you're just waiting pretty much the whole time to do a 30-second task. Once you can master waiting, once you can master just sitting there or stand, pretty much you're usually standing. Once you can master just standing there and entertaining yourself with like the wind. I used to do patterns and stuff. I used to like look at the street and be like, oh, these patterns match. But once you can master doing that, that's when bootcamp will become a little easier for you. But if you're an impatient person, you need to learn patience right away. You need to pick that skill up before you go to bootcamp, because if not, you're going to go mentally crazy. You're not going to be patient. You're not going to get through the day in and day out, because day in and day out, that's pretty much what it is. A bunch of little mini tasks, and then at the end of the week, it's usually a major test. And then if you fail that major test, I'm going to get into what happens if you fail. But pretty much the whole boot camp experience is just hurrying up and waiting. You're in a mental battle the whole time. You're thinking about home. You're thinking about the small things. You're going to think about the small things a lot. Like my bed, bro. I used to think about my bed. I used to think about my showers, like my private showers, the comfortability, all of that. You're going to be thinking about everything. You will learn to appreciate the small things, which is a good thing that comes out of boot camp, because you won't take the small things for granted anymore. But yeah, that's pretty much that. The next thing, I don't know if your recruiters tell you this, but my recruiter, I'm not going to say his name, but like, I didn't know about any of this. It is pretty much impossible to leave. I'm going to go into what happens if you fail. You can't fail boot camp. Once you fail a test or something, they drop you back to the previous company. That could be 4 weeks behind, a month behind, sometimes 2 months behind. Sometimes you even get put in a waiting platoon, and then you have to go again. You cannot quit boot camp. It is very hard to do so. You have to pretty much, say some crazy stuff to leave boot camp. And even then, you have to get like papered out and like sign documents and stuff, and it takes a couple weeks for that anyways. So the quickest way to leave the island is just to graduate. If you don't think you're prepared for boot camp, do not go to boot camp, because I was with kids that were there for 7 months, 8 months, a year. I was with kids that were there for a very long time, and it's because they failed and failed and failed and kept failing each test. And you don't go home if you fail, you just get recycled. You get dropped, you go back to the previous company, then you try again. If it happens again, you go back. The only way I heard that you can leave boot camp is if you keep failing pool week. If you fail 3 times, meaning if you get dropped 3 times, meaning you could still be there for like 6 months, and they finally send you home. Or if it's an extremely major injury, like you break a leg or something, you still have to, that's another thing, you have to leave the island in the condition that you came. So if you break a leg, whether you quit or not, you have to wait for the leg to heal in order to leave Paris Island. So either way, you're going to be there for 8 months if you break a leg. But don't let that scare you. But the only time that they're like, do you want to continue training? Usually people say no, because you freaking broke your leg and you're going to be there for 8 months regardless. But yeah, that's up to you. God forbid that happens. But that's pretty much the only ways to leave the island. You will not leave the island until you fulfill your contract and become a Marine. So don't think you're going to go in and think, oh, it's day 8, I don't feel like doing it no more. No, you're going to be there until you become a Marine. So be prepared to fully give everything you have the moment you step onto the island. The main ways people were failing was the pool week. So that's the next tip. Do not join boot camp unless you know how to swim. Like I said, that is the biggest reason that why people flunk either out of boot camp or get stuck on the island for months and months, because the swim week, it's weird. You make sure you know how to swim before you go to boot camp, because they teach you, but it's like a 30-minute class, and they're like, go on your back and swim, and it's like really bad in my opinion. It's really fast paced. If you never swam before, you're not going to make it through. So make sure you take swimming classes. Make sure you know how to swim beforehand. The actual test isn't that hard. It's pretty much basic requirements. But if you don't have basic swimming skills, do not go to boot camp. I almost failed boot camp because of it. I almost got dropped. I passed on the last day. I was extremely nervous. I was freaking out. I was like, bro, I'm never gonna go home. It was insane. Make sure you take those swimming classes. Make sure you know how to swim, because it's pretty basic, but then again, they're like the swimming requirements, the average person can still fail, because there's like some pretty like intense portions in it. So make sure you're pretty good at swimming. Make sure you know how to swim. Do not join boot camp if you don't know how to swim. The next thing is to over-prepare physically. Make sure you over-prepare physically. By that, I mean go on runs every single day. Go and do your pull-ups and push-ups every single day before boot camp, because if you could get first-class PFTs and CFTs, and then you get an expert shooting class, you can be in line to be meritoriously promoted to PFC, which is what happened to me. I was over-prepared physically. And second, so not only do you get promoted, second, the physical tests you won't be nervous for, which is pretty much more than 50% of the tests that you get. I never thought about my physical tests. Like, I was like, okay, it's a physical test this week, I'm going to pass. I could worry about range week. I could worry about my scores for that. Or I could worry about swim week. So make sure you have less to think about by over-preparing for your physical needs. And by the way, if you get first class on everything, it's just going to look good on your numbers. So get first class physical test scores, and you're going to do good in boot camp. You're going to be one of the guys that are, recommended for a meritorious promotion. And especially if you have no college stuff, if you're going straight out of high school, being a PFC after boot camp is really good for you. So definitely do that. The next tip, this is the final tip, and this is what helped me get through boot camp like flying colors. It's be the nice guy of the platoon. Make sure you're taking care of everybody. Make sure everybody is straight mentally, physically. Make sure you're the one that's giving out tips through the good of your heart. Make sure everybody's good. Be the guy that cracks jokes at the right times. Everybody loved me in the platoon, and it actually benefited me because everyone was making sure I was straight. People made sure I knew what to do. And we all kind of like worked cohesively together. Don't be the guy that the platoon hates, because nobody's going to want to help you. You're going to be the guy that's a liability. Don't be a liability. I don't want to say be the nice guy of the platoon, but be the useful one. I was always making sure everybody was straight, people respected me a lot. I was like the billet guy at the most billets, and everyone respected me. When I got the meritorious promotion, everybody was like, you deserve that, Robles. Like, everybody respected me, and they helped me out in the moments that I needed it. Like, when I would miss counts, I barely missed counts because my rack mate knew he would make sure I was straight. I would make sure he was straight. Just be the guy that helps out, because that's going to come back to you. In those stressful moments, those people don't forget. Like, my platoon mates never forgot when I did a favor for them. They're like, bro, you did this for me a week ago. I got you right now. You need tape? Bro, tape, we always, like, missed out on tape. I wasn't, because I knew I could ask around, and they would give it to me because I always helped them out. Food, they were like, yo, bro, you straight on that? Like, they make sure you're fed. Like, make sure you're good to everybody. Make sure you have a good heart, because it's going to return tenfold to you. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is just a part 1. There's so much parts I could make about bootcamp tips. I haven't even gotten through my whole list. But if you guys want a part 2, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below for a part 2. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.